Germany is a country known for its cars, steel production, and engineering. It is the world's fourth largest economy judged from its GDP. However, there is one thing about Germany that is not commonly known or something that people would not instantly associate the country with. And that thing is its geography and how it shapes the country's economy. The last episode in this series was about Germany's western states, German wine country and the Rhine, and how it plays an important role in that region's economy. The importance of an access to open seas was also mentioned. Still related to that particular topic, the northwestern city-states of Germany share a similar story to the states in the west. The northwestern city-states of Germany are the two free cities, Hamburg and Bremen. The economy of these city-states can be considered impressive considering their GDP despite the size of their landmass, the number of population and their status as city-states instead of full-blown states with more numerous population and bigger size like their neighbor Niedersachsen and Schleswig-Holstein. The reason is largely political considering that both cities have a long history for being significant, centuries before the German Empire was even unified. The origin of the free and Hanseatic city of Hamburg is somewhat debatable. Some people suggest that it was originally called Hammerburg. The city's website suggests that the name originated from an old Saxon word, Hammer, means marshy area on the river, and Burg, similar as in modern German, means a fortified place or a castle surrounded by a protective wall. It was a village for farmers, fishermen, and other peasantry jobs. The Pope at the year 832 declared the village an archdiocese. During the Viking Age, despite having some degree of fortification, the village fell to the Viking raiders, and the bishop relocated to Bremen and never returned. Around the year 900, new fortifications were built, and following that, Christianity became stronger from the 10th century. The city then grew into an important trading hub. In 1189, Frederick Barbarossa granted the city a free imperial city and free trade zone status. The city formed an alliance with Lübeck, then also a major trading city, marking the origin and the core of the Hanseatic League, whose Hansa, or trading guild, were spread all over Europe. From that point, even after the decline of the Hanseatic League, Hamburg continued to prosper and largely maintain its free city status until it became a state that we know today. Having a different story, the free Hanseatic city of Bremen was a Germanic pagan settlement. Charlemagne sent a missionary, Willehad, to Christianize the area. In 787 AD, Bremen was declared a bishopric. Bremen received its Hanseatic membership in 1358, trading with Flanders, England, and Scandinavia, and gradually gaining more economic and political power. Just like Hamburg, the city largely maintains its imperial free city status for most of the time, until re-established as a state in 1947. That was pretty much the simplified history of the two city-states. We can say that both cities have similar fates, but they turn out differently with stark differences in economic significance and the number of population. However, there is one thing that these two free cities share, and that is quite odd regarding their position on the map. Both cities are not located directly on the coastline, but rather slightly inland. Despite the advantages for cities located directly on the coastline, including the abundance of fish and more opportunity for more trade by providing easier access for ships, their founders chose the current position, and there are, I think, strong reasons for it. One reason is the geographical features surrounding Hamburg and Bremen, intertidal zones, mudflats, and salt marshes. It would be wise to consult construction experts regarding details for difficulties in construction projects on one of these challenges, building on intertidal zones, mudflats, or marshes. However, it makes sense to theorize that both cities are where they are right now because it is easier and more beneficial to found settlements further away from those challenges, while at the same time not too far away from an access to open sea. Indeed, there are smaller cities, towns, and communities built in close proximity to these mudflats and or marshlands, such as Cuxhaven, Bremerhaven, Wilhelmshaven, Emden, Brunsbüttel, St. Peter-Ording, and many other communities living along the coastline. However, we should also consider a pattern on the coastline along the southern parts of the North Sea. From the Low Countries to parts of Denmark, many bigger cities such as Groningen, Leeuwarden, Zwolle, Leer, Husum, Esbjerg, and Varde have a good access to the North Sea, but are located slightly inland, just like Hamburg and Bremen, due to the geographical features that put these cities where they are. Another reason is that these slightly inland cities are, in my opinion, natural harbors by themselves. So what constitutes as a natural harbor? Any place to which ships may resort for shelter, or to load or unload passengers or goods, or to obtain fuel, water, or supplies. This term applies to such places whether proclaimed public or not, and whether natural or artificial. Based on that definition from the US Department of Transportation, we can interpret that a natural harbor must be able to provide shelter for ships, but it must come naturally. Let's look at the word shelter. Shelter for ships means the ships must be protected from winds and tides. In dangerous seas like the North Sea, in order to prosper, it is important to keep the trade flow going no matter how rough the seas can be. From one factor, the wind, it is safe to say that both Hamburg and Bremen's location provide shelter from winds, considering the wind movements in the North Sea tend to go counterclockwise and not going inland as we see on this map. Plus, if we are to look at the speed, the wind in the two cities as well as in the other slightly inland port cities, it is comparably mild, ranging from 8 to 2 meters per second. Now from the other factor, the tide, the geographic challenges that were mentioned before, the tidal flats, mud flats, and the marshes turn out to be a blessing. Harbors that are not naturally sheltered must come up with something to protect the ships from the tides. Sometimes they resort to breakwaters, like the port of Long Beach in California is one example. However, with these flats and marshes being present in the area, the two cities do not need breakwaters, as flats and marshes can reduce the strength of high tides and rogue waves, and maybe prevent them from coming into the inland waterways and to the harbors. Plus, they are already inland, which by itself receive less rogue waves and rough tides, similar to other natural harbors in the world such as Seattle and Vancouver. Moving on, economically, Hamburg and Bremen have been established a long time ago as trading hubs. Hamburg is the 19th busiest port in the world and the 3rd busiest in Europe, from the number of TEU. It is the largest port in Germany as presented by the port's official website, with over 135 million tons of cargo and 8.7 million TEU annually. Following Hamburg, Bremen ports, Bremen and Bremerhaven ports, with 2 cities, 1 port, ranked 4th in Europe's busiest ports, with 5.5 million TEU each year. Now, apart from historical and political reasons in the past, i.e. being trade hub for centuries, which by itself gives the 2 cities a huge amount of trust and credibility, the 2 cities are located strategically. In Hamburg's case, the city sits at the mouth of the Elbe. The Elbe started in Czech Giants Mountains, or Korkonoše, goes deep in the Czech Republic and continues all the way to the North Sea. Most of the river from Pardubice to Hamburg is used for navigation. Despite the decline, several ports are still operational, including those from the Czech Republic, such as small ports in Mělník and in Ústí nad Labem. The Elbe then continues in some of Germany's major cities in the east, such as Dresden and Magdeburg. The Elbe is even connected to Germany's capital city through Elbe-Havel Canal, then from Havel to Berlin's port of Südhafen in Spandau, or even deeper in Berlin, in Berlin and Westhafen, Berlin's western port, through the river Spree. Anything that needs to be transported from these places to the North Sea or northern Germany using container ships can be done by river barges that end up in Hamburg, and later they can be warehoused first or transferred in that port into bigger container ships to be able to go further, possibly across oceans. It should be noted that imports from the world also goes to Hamburg before moving inland into those places. However, Hamburg has its own problem with the waterway itself. Each year the size of container ships grows bigger and can no longer go inland to the port. The volume of containers stagnates at only 9 million per year, which is why the government plans to dredge the river to give access to bigger container ships. Scheduled to finish in 2021, it is estimated that this will add another 3 million of containers annually to the port. Bremen has a similar case to Hamburg. It is a similar port city too, but of smaller scale as Hamburg. I think there is not much to be said about Bremen since its significance is dwarfed by Hamburg. However, the Weser is still an active waterway, running deep into the heartland of Niedersachsen, with examples such as the port of Minden and the 4 ports of Hannover, Brinka, Misburga, Lindena, and Nordhafen. Why are all of these important? You can check how important it is to have inland waterway system in the first episode. I think that's about it. I've been your host, and this series will continue in the next episode with the economic geography of Germany's northwestern states. Be sure to check out the playlist, link in the description. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe to see more. Remember, anything in the video is always up for a debate. After all, they are mere opinions. Have a great day.